Alright, this one's got me excited. So, I know I just talked about the EOS R5 and R6, my thoughts really on the R5, and a lot of bashing. I think rightly so. Let's talk about the Sony A7S III. In my opinion, this camera just hits all the boxes. Once we see a little bit more, this could really be the camera, my next camera. Alright, so what has me so excited? You get all the awesome features that today's world wants. You get the 4K 120, 4K 60, 4K 24. You get 1080p 240. Awesome. All the things you really need. No 8K, guys. Sorry, it's not in there. Why? Because you can't do 8K with 12 megapixels. Duh. Alright, moving on. Why I think this will be my next camera. Like I mentioned, the R5, I like my 120 to have sound. The Sonys do that. They're claiming it won't overheat, and from video tests that I've seen, it doesn't really. Maybe 4K 120 after, 50 minutes. That's cool. I don't think I'm gonna take a 50-minute 120 video. Now, I have seen a couple videos side by side comparing the 4K in the Sony and the non-HQ 4K. So the 4K essentially that the R5 can do without overheating. Comparing those two, the Sony actually looks better. Take that, 45 megapixels. Alright, so I think I did forget to mention this in my R5 video, but that camera is $3,800, I think? $3,800, $3,900. Sony's $3,500. It's a couple $100. I will say, for me personally, it's gonna be a little more expensive if I do switch to Sony, because I don't have any Sony glass. I actually sold all of it like a year ago, and now I regret it. And the biggest concern that I've had for Sony cameras is the color science. I just wasn't a huge fan. It just never made me happy. Can this camera take pictures? Probably. And they're probably good for the gram. Billboards? No. Although that's a misconception because, the viewing distance of billboards is 5 billion feet away. I'm just having fun with this video because I'm really excited about this camera. I just don't know really if I have anything to bash. The one thing I do is, I guess the CF Express Type A card is just kind of silly. Like, Sony, just make bigger cameras. Come on, do it. And the coolest thing that I saw coming from this camera is that the fact that they give you this all-eye H.264 10-bit 422. This means I won't have to transcode. My computer currently will probably be able to handle it. And then the third problem that I also said in the R5 video, no record limit. Boom, solves that. I don't really care, but it solves it. All right, so here's some cool kind of quirks that I don't know if everyone knows, but some kind of cool things that I like about Sony, and specifically maybe this camera that I've seen from reviews. On the A7 III, you could record to one card, have it be photos, and the other card have it be videos. This is great for a hybrid shooter, so you could have two memory cards in there, and you have one, you're taking pictures, boom, 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 and you stop, take some video, boom. They're separated, so you know that on one card you have all your video, the other card you have all your photo. That, to me, seems really cool. I really like that concept. On the Canon 5D Mark IV, didn't have that option. Had two card slots. That wasn't possible. Moving on. the what's it called? White balance. I didn't really like it for the A7 III. It was like, well, I guess I kind of did. But it was this little dot in the middle of the screen. It was a great way to do it. You just point that at your gray card if you're doing custom white balance. Boom. Problem was that in the custom modes, you couldn't do custom white balance. What? Canon, you can do it in your custom modes, but you have to take a picture and use that for your white balance, and that doesn't make any sense either. Now we have the A7 III. Cool feature, that little dot is now movable anywhere in the viewfinder area. So you can have your gray card, like if I have it up here, boom, I can pick that. I don't have to point the middle of the camera and then reframe up my shot if the gray card is not necessarily in the middle of the shot. That's a cool addition. Thank you, Sony. I actually don't know if you can do it in the custom modes, because I don't think I've seen that in a video. That would suck if you couldn't use it in the custom modes. So this camera's gotten me pretty excited, and I'm, pretty much 95% convinced that this is gonna be my next camera, which means I'm gonna have to sell my Canon. I did just think of the one negative on Sony cameras is the IBIS. It's just not good. The reason is that in order for Sony to make their cameras so portable, so compact, they had to make a small mount. So if you look at the mount, the very tips of the square, all the corners, are barely visible from the circle that is the mount. So if it was any tighter of a circle, it would cover up some of the sensor. So it was literally wherever it just kind of barely made it. That means there's less space for contacts to transfer data, and a lot of that can be with the IBIS. So you know, the sensor itself doesn't really have a lot of wiggle room. So that's essentially how IBIS works. The sensor can kind of move around to compensate for your handheld movements. So it kind of moves. If you don't have that much space to move around, it's just doing this. Whereas, you know, you take a Micro Four Third in a huge, you know, DSLR style body like the GH5, it's gonna have great IBIS because it just has so much area to move. That's the one kind of cool thing about Canon, is their sensor, or their mount, is a large mount. So there's movement, there's possibilities there. Yes, there's wobble. I don't really care about the wobble. Zoom in, don't shoot at 15, shoot at 20. Jesus. Solve your problem. Alright, I've had enough fun with this video. Keep up with me on Instagram or Twitter or something. You know, follow me. All that stuff. And we'll see if I get this camera. It's a high chance. But I gotta go play some Warzone. I've had enough of this video stuff. See you guys.